Hello, welcome to the Amamanson Network. For those joining me on Facebook, welcome. For those joining me on YouTube, welcome as well. And I hope you would run on over and subscribe to Jamaica Ayawide and Authentic Jamaican Memory Lane. So those are the two channels on YouTube that I use these two channels as a way of outreach. I know there are many persons around the globe who just love Jamaicans, love Jamaican culture, love the language, love the vibe. We have a vibe about us. And yeah, you can't be blamed for loving us. So on these two channels, I showcase different aspects of Jamaican culture. I go to the different places in Jamaica. Wherever I visit, I make a video and I show you guys what it's like to live on this gorgeous, gorgeous island and to be immersed in this wonderful culture. Again, we're going to be looking at four Jamaican proverbs, Jamaican wise sayings. So every week we do four, right? So I have four more juicy ones for you this week. The first one is Mouth make for say anything. Mouth make for say anything. Literally, this means the mouth, the lips, can accommodate any word. You know how big the mouth can expand in all directions. We can make a huge O. We can pronounce all the letters. We can say all the words that are needed to be said in order to achieve what we want to achieve. You see, humans, one of the things that sets us apart from other animals or other creatures on the planet is that we're able to put ourselves in the minds of others, right? We are able to empathize. We're able to make predictions based on knowledge that we have gathered, based on how we have reacted and how we have seen others react. And so we can anticipate how people will react to certain things. And if we want them to respond in a particular way, there are certain things we can do and say that will get them to do what we want, right? Yeah, that's one of the things that sets us apart from the other creatures. We are able to manipulate the minds of others, get them to do what we want, and sometimes this requires a little thing called telling a lie. Sometimes we call them white lies, but a lie is a lie. It's saying something that you know not to be true. Also, we make promises that we have no intention of keeping, and that is deception. We can also withhold information that we know or we have strong reason to believe that if the person that we're dealing with was privy to this information, they would make different choices. And so we might withhold that information because we don't want them to make a particular choice. This is deception, right? Humans deceive. Mouth make for say anything. So usually in Jamaica, somebody come to you and they're telling you all kind of bull crap um, story. They're telling you they're making all kind of promises and pledges and what they're going to do and what they would never do. So a Jamaican who wants to just, fan you off, we just say, well, yeah, mouth make for say anything. Mouth make for say anything. You can say any word in the English language or in the Jamaican language or in any language for that matter. It can hold in your mouth. and it can come out of the mouth, it's not necessarily true. So basically, you say, yeah, I'm not gonna fall for that, as a popular song that we have here, too experienced. I'm too experienced to be taken for a ride, too experienced to be taken for a stroll, either, not even a stroll. You know, when you've gained enough wisdom from experience and from watching others, because that's my thing, learn from other people's experiences. Don't have to do the thing for you to learn. So when you really, as we said, you answer back and you observe what's happening and you learn. And so, some things that people come to you with, it's neither here nor there. You're not going to be reeled in by these delicious promises that they make, these sumptuous pledges that they make. They say promises at night are easily made, but they can disappear at the light of day, right? Promises at night are easily made. Mouth make for say anything. Sometimes when a person is up against the wall, their back is against the wall, they have no other option, or they don't see themselves as having any other option, they will say anything to get out of that situation, right? When a person wants you to do a particular thing, and especially if they know what your standards are, they know that certain things you won't be involved in, yeah, they will say whatever needs to be said to get in your good books, to get you to drop your guard, to get you to give them a chance, to get you to let them into the circle. Not everybody has integrity. There are some of us, and I consider myself to be among those who do have integrity. There are some of us who we will not. I pride myself, I try not to deceive anyone. If I deceive you, it's not intentional. Some self-deception was involved, because it's very important to me that I don't deceive another human being. So I always try to be plain and straight and let people know this is what it is. If you're coming over into my sphere, these are the rules, this is what's gonna happen, this is what's not gonna happen, and you come of your own volition with open eyes, totally understanding what the rules are. And so, I take pride in that. There are some persons who have high standards, and it doesn't matter what we stand to lose, we will not deceive. We will not say things just for the sake of getting into someone's space, getting their guards down to accomplish what we want. Whatever I get in life, I want it to be fair and square. Whatever involvement is required from someone else, I want that person to come with fully open eyes, fully conscious of what the situation is, and how it's likely to go. Unfortunately, not everybody is like that, right? A lot of people will tell you what they think you want to hear, so as to get what they need to get. And so you have to understand that, hey, listen, mouth make fi say anything. So when they come and they tell you things, you really have to listen carefully, listen to the nuances, read between the lines, and use your intuition, use your common sense, use the other clues that this person is bringing, use their action, especially their action. Don't just rely on the words. You can also listen to what other people have to say about them. Sometimes, especially women, especially fall victims to this, because you want this person to be who you want them to be. You have a tendency to block out any negativity that somebody else might be trying to bring to you about the person. We can't be so closed off. Yes, you know that you have persons who are mischievous and might have bad intention and just want to ruin a good thing. You have persons like that. But you also have persons who might just have your better interest at heart and are trying to open your eyes to things, especially if you are in love. When we're in love, some of us really are blind to things, and you try to convince yourself, especially if you've been waiting so long for something meaningful, and something has come along and you're trying to convince yourself, say, hey, this must be it. You will close your eyes to certain things, right? And if somebody comes and tries to open your eyes to them, you might see that person as a villain. The person could very well be, but you should not shut yourself off like that, right? We have to be open, and we have to try to always be in control of our thoughts. Always use your common sense. Always know that when you're dealing with other human beings, there is a chance that deception might come into play, because it's a skill that humans have developed. It's a skill we have evolved with. It's part of who we are as humans, our ability to read the situation, our ability to see what's vulnerable about a person. We will deceive. As a species, we will deceive in order to get the upper hand. So always know that when you're dealing with another human being, regardless of age, gender, size, class, once you're dealing with another human being, deception can come into play, and you have to have your guards up. Be open, be receptive, but have your guards up. All right, more make for say anything. The next wise saying that we're going to look at is, a guilty conscience worse than obeah. Right? In Jamaica, we say guilty conscience worse than obeah. So for those who are not aware, so obeah is a practice that a lot of Jamaicans are engaged in. Some might not readily confess to engaging in it, and some might be willing to say, well, all right, I know it's there, I know that others engage in it, but for me, I don't. Some might say, well, yeah, obeah is powerful for those who fear it, that kind of thing, right? There are different levels to how persons will accept or reject obeah, but obeah is a practice, and it actually originated in West Africa. It came down to us through our West African ancestors. It's a practice in which you can either secure for good or for detriment resources from the netherworld. Let's put it that way, right? Either for good or for bad. And in Jamaica, when you say somebody obey you, when somebody obey you, that means they have gone to the practitioner to secure, whether it's a talisman, whether it's a powder, a oil, whatever it is, some spell, whatever it is, they have secured and have taken steps to do things that will cause hindrance to you, might cause harm to you, or your loved ones, right? So when it says somebody obey you, that means a curse has been put on you, or duppy has been set on you to follow you and to be mischievous in your life and to stop you from doing things, to hold you back, that kind of thing. So now, when we say guilty conscience worse than obia, say that must be something really bad, because if it's worse than obia, it must be terrible, right? Because obia is terrible. So if something worse than obia, it's really, really bad. Guilty conscience worse than obia. So that means no, when you know you have done wrong, sometimes just that knowledge and the guilt that you feel, it can cause things to happen in your life. It can derail you. It can cause you to self incriminate, to do and say things to incriminate yourself, even while you're trying to sidestep it. It can cause you to self sabotage. And it's like it's worse than if somebody else had set out to sabotage you, or to hinder you, or to hurt you. You ever know, like sometimes somebody does something and you might not even be privy to it yet, right? But you pick up our vibes just by the whole, they're just so stiff and they're just so tense in that guilt. But you don't know, you might not, you're not saying anything to them, but because they know what they have done, and because they know how wrong that was, and they know the person who they did it to did not deserve that kind of treatment. Maybe somebody who treated them good, maybe somebody who was always there for them, somebody who was always promoting them and uplifting them and providing support and resources. So they know in themselves, they feel bad about it, and they will just act and say things that you're wondering, where is this coming from, or you can't make sense of it. It's guilt, right? That guilt that they're walking around with, it's going to hinder them. It might even harm them worse than if somebody else had set out to sprinkle powder where they're walking, or to rub oil, or whatever the practice is. You see that thing that you are walking around inside your head, yeah, that is your downfall. Guilty conscience worse than obia. A guilty conscience worse than obia. Sometimes you see people that they come out and they say things you had no clue, It's like they give away themselves, right? They give away themselves. They incriminate themselves just because of the guilt. You have a lot of persons, and this is why people um they they turn themselves in. They might flee. They do something, maybe something illegal. They might flee, and then even if nobody was gonna be able to find them, they might turn themselves in, because it's better to face the consequences than to live with your own conscience. And that's why I always say, you see, if somebody, you can't guilt trip a person whose mind is so thwarted that they don't feel guilty. They don't experience guilt. Like a sociopath or a psychopath, you trying to guilt trip them will have no effect on them, because if they are unable to process that within themselves to say, no, what I did was wrong, it doesn't matter how much psychology you're going to come with, whether psychology or reverse psychology and all the guilt tripping you're going to do. Huh? They'll do it to you and they'll go home and sleep and dream nice dreams. You hear me? And you over there wondering, or are you thinking, oh, well, he's tormented, he's tossing and turning in his sleep? No, he's not. If you're dealing with a psychopath, a sociopath, a narcissist, that word we throw it around so much nowadays. If you are dealing with this kind of person who doesn't experience guilt on the level that normal people experience it, don't think you're gonna try and guilt trip them and drop little words hoping to appeal to their conscience. It will not. And they're not going to go through any kind of suffering, emotional, psychological suffering, no. But for the regular humans like you and me, we experience guilt, and we're social creatures. We really do, at our core, even though we have some individualistic tendencies, right? Self-preservation as a strong individualistic tendency, but we have also evolved to be social, survival of the species, right? So we really don't like to be outliers. We really don't like to offend the group. For most of us, we don't like to offend the group. And so when we do things that, harm other members of the group or hinder other members of the group, we will internalize that as something bad, right? And it will make us feel very guilty. If we are not, if others don't pick up on that and realize what we have done, just that internal turmoil, that internal wrestling with your conscience, that alone, that alone can derail the person. Guilty conscience, worse than phobia. Sometimes you see people going through things, and especially where you see self sabotage going on, is that's the kind of thing that's happening. If, for example, you might have somebody in a relationship, an intimate relationship, and from the outside you're looking and say, but everything is good, this person got it together, the relationship seems strong, they're financially stable, they might have kids, they might be married and committed to each other. On the outside, you're looking and you're saying, wow, this is a good setup, this is good. And then one other person might do something that's just really stupid, just really, and derail the entire relationship. And you're saying, but what the hell? Why would you do something like that? Sometimes it's what? Guilt. They may have done something, whether before the relationship or during the relationship, that only they know about. And you see that guilt that they're walking around with. They don't feel like they deserve this good thing. They don't think they deserve this good person, this good setup, this stability, this happiness. And so they do things that will sabotage the relationship. They just up and start flirting, start dropping messages that the person's gonna find, or doing some dumb thing on social media, and eventually the other person finds out and it ends the relationship. The guilt and that feeling of I don't deserve it. And this is something that I think affects a lot of Black men. It just seems up to me, from my observation of relationships that I've seen from I was little growing up, and observing my uncles, my cousins, my neighbors, people down the road, this person on TV, that celebrity. It's like black men have this thing where they feel they don't deserve a good thing. And this is something I want to do a video on, right? They feel they don't deserve a good thing. There's no other way I can put it, because I've seen time and time again they're in this situation that seems idyllic, perfect, and they just do some fuckery to mess it up. And you're saying, what the hell? Why? I honestly think a lot of black men don't think they deserve a good thing. And when they have the good thing, they find some way to fuck it up. I'm gonna do a video on just on that. Right. All right. So the next Jamaican proverb is "What I no see, heart no leap." What I no see, heart no leap. So literally, that would mean, or in English, that would mean what you don't see, right? The nearest thing to that is what you don't know won't hurt you. You know that English saying, what you don't know won't hurt you. What I no see, heart no leave. That means you're not going to be anxious about it. You're not going to be fearful about it. You're not going to be um, thinking that it's gonna affect you because you don't know about it, right? Where I no see, heart no leave. And we can translate this into a lot of things in life. For example, um, a lot of persons go out to eat at restaurants, or you're on the road, or you're at a fair and people are selling stuff. You partake of it. You travel to a different country, you want to experience the culture, and you have people selling stuff on the streets, you buy it. A lot of us do that. Do you really know how it was prepared? you know, Whether it's being prepared on the street right there, or it's being prepared in the restaurant, or the person prepared it at home and brought it to the place for sale. You really don't know the ingredients, for one. It's not necessarily what they tell you they put in it. They might put that and another secret ingredient, right? And once we mention secret ingredient, that's a slippery slope all the way down to hell. Even the companies that make food products that come in their nice, clean packages and well labeled, we still don't know what's in it, because a lot of times you see these governing bodies, these agencies that are set up to monitor these things. A lot of times I've seen, articles published, or news clippings where they find out this company has been putting XYZ in the thing and didn't even put it on the label, or some deception took place where they put a mediocre alternative and selling it as the real, original, authentic thing. Like I said earlier, once you're dealing with humans, deception can come into play. Once you're dealing with a human being, prepare to be deceived, right? So, yeah, especially, let's say you go to one of these places, and Jamaica is one of these places where some persons practice obia, whatever you want to call it, obia, witchcraft, sorcery, whatever name you have for it. The thing is, a part of that practice is putting secret ingredients into things to hold the person, to tie the person, even in relationships, right? Even in relationships, you might have, and I'm not saying everybody does this. I certainly don't do it. I'm a Jamaican. I don't do these things, and many Jamaicans don't. But I'm saying some do. Some swear by it. Some will not live without doing these things. As far as they're concerned, this is a part of life, right? So if they want to tie, in Jamaica we have this saying, to tie a man or to tie a woman, you prepare food for the person, you sprinkle a little this, a little that you got from the practitioner. And when they eat it, it's supposed to bond them to you, right? So if you want to have this person in your life forever, and you put these things in the food, it will tie them. Or it can be out of revenge, where you put this thing in the food because the person did you something and you want to have vengeance on them. Or it can be to hinder the person. There are people who do these things. There are people who believe in these things. There are practitioners that you can go to for these things. Whether they work or not is up to your interpretation of the situation, right? But if you're dealing with somebody who believes in it, what's going to stop them from going to get these potions, going to get these powders, going to get these oils, and dropping it in things that they're going to serve you or serve to their customer, to tie the customer to them so they keep coming back for more, to lace it with something that's going to tie the customer. Every day this customer come, they want breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right? Some people believe in these things and they will do it, and to them it's not going to harm you, but it's just going to bond them to you. It's not going to harm them, that the person is going to partake of it. But whether or not, would you want to know that somebody is putting something in your food that's not declared, right? I think most of us don't. But we go to restaurants, and I've heard people say that it's not just the regular man and woman walking around. They do it in restaurants. They do it with the big manufacturers. Right? How do you know? How do you know who does it and who doesn't? We don't know. The fact that we don't know, like most other things in life, we take a chance on it, right? Most of the things that we swear by, if you really look at it, you don't really know. You can't vouch. You've not been there yourself. You've not seen it yourself. You Most of the things we go by in our everyday life is hearsay. I would say probably 90 to 95% of the things that we take for granted, we take it on good authority. But really and truly, we don't know for ourselves. Have you ever been to China? How can you prove China exists? Right? Were you there during the whatever period in history? Were you there? No, you weren't. You're taking it on good authority. You're taking it for granted. So a lot of things we just agree to agree. We agree to agree, and we take somebody's word for it. What I know say, heart na leave. What I know say, heart na leave. Because most of the things you partake of, you really don't know how they came about, how they were prepared, what was the intention of the person who was preparing it. You really don't know. When you go to the doctor, you have a particular ailment, or the doctor tells you, diagnoses you with a particular ailment. And we've had people go for second and third opinions, and the other doctor disagrees, right? So you go to your doctor, you have been diagnosed with this. You take it on good authority, and you start taking these medications, and you start going for these procedures. You don't really know, when you take swallowing these pills, what's in it. And even if you hear what's in it, what is that information good for? You don't know what these ingredients are. Even if you see the list of ingredients on the label, what does it mean to you? You don't know. So much of our lives we take on good authority, we take it for granted, and we rest assured that most people will have at least a neutral interest, if not the best interest for their fellow men, at least a neutral interest, and not a villainous interest. We really rest assured on that. We hope beyond hope that that is the case. We hope when we take 4 pills and we swallow them, we hope that what the manufacturer says is their intention and says is the outcome, we really hope that that is true. But remember, I said once you're dealing with humans, prepare yourself for deception. Where I na say, heart na leap. If you don't know, it hopefully will not hurt you. Even in some relationships, intimate relationships, whether just a long-term relationship, short-term relationship, marriage, deeper commitment, I've heard a lot of women especially say, you know, if my husband or if my boyfriend is cheating, I can deal with it if I don't know that he's cheating, or if I know that he's cheating but I don't know any information about the other woman, I don't know what she looks like, I don't know what she does, I don't know where she lives, I'm okay with that. I've heard women say that. But I honestly heartily, if him keep it over there, keep it out of my face. If him now make me look stupid by telling everybody else, and I'm the only one who isn't privy to certain things, right? So basically, she's saying, as long as it's not up in my face, and as long as I don't have to see this other person, hear about this other person, I'm good. A lot of women say that and mean it too, right? A lot of women mean it. If he comes home, does what he is supposed to do in terms of his responsibilities to the house and the home and the kids, and he's affectionate, he's supportive, to a lot of women, that's fine. Their heart won't leap, right? But if they have too much information and they're seeing you posing up with this other woman or other women on social media, if you're not discreet in the community, that that now would make their heart leap, because there now you're making her look like a fool. So on different levels, I think we as humans, on different levels, we kind of accept that, as I've been reiterating throughout this video, we kind of accept that once we're going to deal with another human being, the issue of deception is likely to come up. And for some of us, it's not a deal breaker as long as other things are in place for some of us. So it's up to each of us to decide to what extent do I allow, to what extent do I insist, to what extent do I tolerate, that kind of thing, right? It's really up to us. All right, so the last Jamaican proverb that we're going to talk about is, if you throw a stone in a pig pen, the one who squeal is him get the lick. Let me say that maybe 2 more times so that you get what I'm saying. If you throw a stone in a pig pen, the pig who squeal is him get the lick. Alright? If you throw a stone in at the pig pen, the hog pen, anybody who squeal is him get the lick. So literally now, if you throw stones into a pigsty, any pig that squeals, that's the one who got hit. So by extension, now this means when you say things that are, they can be seen as judgment, right? you make remarks that can be seen as you chastising someone, the person or persons who react first, and especially if they react in opposition, usually you hit a nerve. You hit a nerve. Those are the ones whom it applies to, right? Another way is of saying it: who the cap fit, let them wear it, as Bob Marley um, said in his song. That's another of our sayings: who the cap fit, make them wear it. Throw my can, when I call no foul. All of those things come in, right? Throw my stone, throw my corn. So you throw your corn, corn or fowl. Any fowl come and start picking, those are the ones it relates to. Who the cap fit, wear it. Anytime you throw a stone in a pig pen, anybody who squeal at a pig, they get the lick. Sometimes you're on social media, innocently going about your social media business, and you might make a post, right, with the least nefarious intent, and all of a sudden somebody comment under your post, I know you're talking about me, and you're saying, huh, this person may have been the last person on your mind. You totally forgot that this person existed, right? But because the thing that you said or posted, it hit a nerve with this person, they think that it was intended for them. And sometimes it really, honestly wasn't. That has happened to me a lot of times. Sometimes I'm reflecting on things, right? I might just be having a reflection, having a moment, and I make a post on Facebook. For example, this, for example, I might reflect and I say, it's really, it's wrong when people go around and they borrow your money and they don't pay you back, right? And this is something that has happened to me several times on Facebook. Having a little reflection, and I might make a post. Sometimes when you borrow people's money, the same smile that you had on your face when you were borrowing it, that's the same smile you must have when you're giving it back. That's a beautiful little reflection, right? Out of nowhere, these reflections just drop into my lap, and I want to share them with my Facebook friends. The same smile you have on your face when you borrow people money is the same smile you must have when you're giving it back, if you decide to give it back. And lo and behold, people start commenting under my posts. Yes, blah blah blah. You didn't have to. You could just message me and say you want back your money. And some of these are relatives, and some are friends. And me being the mischievous person that I am, I can't resist. I just pick up that, just run with that same way. I say, well, yeah, you really should repay me. But really and truly, I, the intent was not there. That person was not on my mind. I'd totally forgotten. But because they're scrolling and they see this and they know in themselves, again, it go back to the guilty conscience worse than obia. All of these that we're doing today seem to be tied into each other. Because they are guilty about borrowing your money and not giving it back, or borrowing your money nice and jolly when they're borrowing it, and when time come to pay back, they're all resentful and miserable. It hit a nerve. They're guilty. And you may not have intended that for them necessarily, but because they have that guilt, they squeal. They are the pig that got hit. They are the pig that got hit with that stone. Any pig where you hear squeal is him get the lick, right? Anything you throw out there, just look for the first responders, and especially the ones that are more heated, the ones that are more, up in arms, they are usually the ones that you hit a nerve with them. And this can be very revealing. It can be very revealing about people. It can give you information about people based on how they respond to the things that you innocently put out into the universe. You just sit down there reflecting to yourself. You had no intention of hitting anybody. You just throw in your stone, and they get hit and they squeal, and that squealing can reveal a lot of things that you didn't even suspect. It can reveal a lot of things, right? So anytime you say things and then you see people up in their feelings and you didn't intend it, well, you can do like me. If you're mischievous like I am mischievous, you can own up and say, yes, it's you, yes, it's you. Or if you don't want to be confrontational and mischievous like that, you can just use it as a way to learn things about people. The people reveal things, about themselves, how they respond to things that are not even meant for them, but because they're walking around with certain things, there's some guilt, some inadequacies, some insecurities. They're walking around with this. They are triggered by things that were not even meant for them. And in their response, it reveals so much. Yeah. So those are the 4 wise sayings, 4 Jamaican wise sayings. Next week we're gonna have 4 more. I have dozens, 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 dozens. And all of these we can learn from them. That's my thing in life. I love to learn from others. I don't want to have to go into the dungeon to know what it's like. I'll stay up here and watch what you are doing down in there, see how you got down in there, and learn from you. I don't want to have to go down there. So I listen to my ancestors, I listen to the wisdom of the old folks that they have handed down that I can now access. I try to learn from these things. And I'm hoping you do the same. Right? So until next week, when we dive deeper into Jamaican culture, this is Kam. Thank you for staying with me. And if you want to share any of the wise sayings of your culture, please feel free to do that. All right. So I'll see you next week.